Assalamu alaikum. I am Ashfia Khanum. My ID is 18301231. This is my presentation about zero-day exploit. Firstly, let's think of a scenario to understand what is zero-day exploit. We have Alice, who is a security researcher, former penetration tester. She worked for Palo Alto Networks and Cisco. She has years of experience finding vulnerabilities in softwares. Now, Alice is looking for a vulnerability in an app named ABC of a company named C. She is using her experience and some strategies for detecting any vulnerability. And after 4 weeks of finding vulnerabilities, Alice is finally able to find a vulnerability in ABC app. So she is able to inform the company, but she wants to find out if this vulnerability is current status. Now, here we have Bob, who is an expert in surfing the dark web and finding out valuable information from there. He also has a good network in hackers communities. So, Alice visits Bob to figure out if the vulnerability is already being exploited by hackers or not. Based on the situation, there can be two situations. The first scenario is that Bob did not find any trace of this vulnerability in the dark web or in any hackers community, that Alice is the first person to find the vulnerability. So she informs the company C, and now C has N days to fix the vulnerability and to release a patch for the ABC app. After N days, the app will get an update, and by updating it, the users will be secured. The second scenario is that Bob finds out that the vulnerability is already discovered by some hacker and now it is public to all other hackers. Now the vulnerability is actively being exploited. Now C has 0 days to fix the vulnerability and release a patch for the ABC app. The word 0 day came from this situation. Now let's discuss what is a zero-day exploit. A zero-day exploit is an unknown security vulnerability or a software flaw that is known to hackers or malicious attackers who can target it with malicious code. The vulnerability is unknown to the app, vendors, or companies until some security researcher or any good individual discovers it. The hackers already have the upper hand in this situation and they actively exploit the vulnerability. So the attack occurs and silently affects all the users who are using the app. Now let's discuss why it happens. Software is man-made and we know that to err is human. So, it is expected that whoever made the app might leave out a leakage which later becomes a vulnerability that hackers may exploit. On the other hand, although big companies are focused on security as equal to functionality, the small or medium companies compare security with functionality. So, they focus on functionality more than security. Furthermore, developers are not security experts. So, all test cases that validate security are difficult to generate. So, the leakage persists and that becomes vulnerabilities. Here is an example of a zero-day exploit named Shellshock. Shellshock could enable an attacker to cause bash to execute arbitrary commands and gain unauthorized access to many internet-based services, such as web servers that use bash shell systems to process requests. On 12 September 2014, Stephen Shazalas discovered the original bug, which he called Backdoor. Working with security experts, he then developed a patch for the issue. The existence of the bug was announced to the public on 24 September 2014. Attackers exploited shell shock within hours of the initial disclosure by creating botnets of compromised computers to perform distributed DOS attacks and vulnerability scanning. Security companies recorded millions of attacks and probes related to the bug in the days following the disclosure. Zero-day exploits cannot be identified by traditional signature-based anti-malware system. However, there are a few ways to identify suspicious behavior that might indicate a zero-day exploit. Statistics-based monitoring. Security researchers provide statistics on exploits they previously detected. Organizations can feed this data points into a machine learning system to identify current attacks. Signature-based variant detection. All exploits have a digital signature. Organizations can feed digital signatures into machine learning algorithms and artificial intelligence systems to identify variants of prior attacks. Behavior-based monitoring. Rather than analyzing in-memory or signatures activity, behavior-based detection discovers malware by looking at how it interacts with devices. Hybrid detection. A hybrid detection approach uses all three methods mentioned above. It can use all three monitoring and identification approaches to be more efficient at discovering zero-day exploits. Furthermore, companies can hire pen testers and white hat hackers who would perform penetration tests for finding vulnerabilities. To attack their companies can give huge rewards for finding out security flaws. To conclude, all the companies must take necessary steps to prevent any forms of vulnerabilities, as Warren Buffett once said that it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If vulnerabilities can be prevented, there would be lesser risk of losing in the long run. Thank you.